In this video, we will use the properties of exponents to simplify this expression. So the first property I want to use is I want to use the zero property. The zero property is nice in that it just allows us to say, okay, y to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So based on the zero property, I can just cancel out this value right here. Any number to the power of 0 is 1. Now, I'm going to focus on my green fraction. So when I'm talking about green, I'm talking about this one right here. So looking at this fraction, the next thing I want to do is I want to focus on my negative exponents. When we have negative exponents, we must take the inverse, or I like to call this the reciprocal, of the number to the power of a negative exponent. My students like to think of this as like they say it's a flip-flop. So I need to move x to the power of negative 2 up to my numerator. This is like multiplying my numerator by x to the power of 2. So now I will rewrite my expression, just the green side. Okay, so I have 3x to the power of 3. We eliminated y to the power of 0. We don't need to put that. And then x to the power of 2. And all of this is being raised to the power of 4. So now, if I multiply this out, I get 3x. Okay, so after I did the negative rule, the next property that I'm incorporating right here is I'm going to use the product rule, product of powers rule, which means I add the exponent. So this turns into 3x to the power of 5, and all of this to the power of 4. Now my final rule I'm going to use for this side is I'm going to use the power of a power rule. That means I must raise everything inside here to the power of 4. This could also be the product of power rule. So if I have 3 to the power of 4, that's like saying 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which I know this is 81, times x to the power of 5 raised to the power of 4. So when I'm taking a power of a power, I multiply the exponents. So this turns into x to the power of 20. Okay, so I'm finished over here. I'm just going to kind of write this in green, 81x to the power of 20. Now I have to simplify my red fraction, my red situation. So I don't have any zero powers, but I do have some negative exponents. So now here is where we do our flip-flops, or the reciprocal. So if I have y to the power of 2, and now I must move y to the power of 8 up in my numerator to get rid of that negative exponent, this turns into y to the power of 2 times y to the power of 8. Okay, I keep 5 in my denominator, I keep this x, but now I need to multiply this times x to the power of 4. All right, so now I did the negative reciprocal. I can go ahead and do the product of a power rule, which means if I have the same base, I add the exponents. Oh, I forgot that all of this is raised to the power of 3. Silly me. So then my next step is I have y to the power of 10 over 5x to the power of 5. Although we don't have a little 1 exponent right here, we can infer that to be true because we have x there. So now I have this whole situation, and I am raising this whole thing to the power of 5. So y to the power of 10 to the power of 5 turns out, let's see, this simplifies to y to the power of 50. Crazy. That's a big number. And then if I have 5 to the power of 5, oh, where am I getting 5 from? I'm so sorry. I wrote it wrong. It's a 3. I was going fast. was like, I knew that number didn't look right. My bad, y'all. Okay, sorry. Y to the power of 30. This is a 3 right here. My eyes were playing tricks on me. Okay, 5 to the power of 3. It's like saying 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. And then finally, I have x to the power of 5 to the power of 3. Man, you should count how many times I say power in this video. So this turns out to being x to the power of 15. No mistakes here. We have our 3. So now we have to put it all together. I need to take my green situation. So I'm going to rewrite this. I know it's so messy. 81x to the power of 20. And I'm putting this over 1 because I have a denominator. However, it's simplified, but I still want to make sure it's over 1. And then I am going to rewrite my situation. Okay, so we multiplied and we got y to the power of 30 over 125, because that's 5 to the power of 3, times x to the power of 15. So when I multiply fractions, I multiply the numerators and I multiply the denominators. So when I multiply this out, we can only multiply like bases. So this is simplest form for my numerator. And this is what my denominator looks like. 125x to the power of 15. Now I'm not done yet. I can simplify my x's. And I know what you might be thinking, man, this is a lot of work, but we got this. So using the quotient rule, I can simplify my x's. So using the quotient rule, if I were to subtract 20 minus 15, I would get 5. So now my new and final fraction and expression is 81x to the power of 5, y to the power of 30, all over 125. Okay, so it's really easy for us to make mistakes here because there were so many little steps. When you get more comfortable with this, you can start to eliminate and simplify the positive and negative numerators right when you see them to kind of help with the adding and the subtracting. But it's really important for us to understand our rules and then apply the rules all together. So I know this was a lot, but thank you for watching the video. Have a great day.